Nick Saban today said all of Alabama's problems are fixable. The question is, do you believe him?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson as me, Jimmy Stein as him. Jimmy, this episode is brought to you by Gametime, and we'll talk about Gametime in just a little bit. Nick Saban had a press conference today, like he always does on Mondays, and he said everything's fixable. And look, far be it from me to question the greatest of all time, correct? I don't know that that's right. I think this is one of those, maybe some people can't see the forest for the trees. And again, I don't want to disrespect the GOAT. I just don't. But boy, and I know there's some people who think, hey, everybody's overreacting. It's just one loss. It's kind of not. It's kind of not. This feels like we should have seen this coming based on some other things that have happened over the last 2.5 years. And I feel like I'm scared this is going to not be the anomaly anymore. More things like this will be the norm. That's what I think, and I'm just getting kind of nervous here.
Well, I think sometimes more than one thing can be true. It's never just, hey, this is just the one fact we need to accept, and there aren't other things to consider. For instance, I think that what I've seen over 2 days, now I know it's a little different for me. My whole life, my career is on a message board. So I see a lot that people listening to this show don't see in terms of fan reaction. And since that's what I'm seeing, I assume all the fans feel like this. But no, what I'm saying is two things can be true. Number one, there is a tremendous overreaction. There is, in my opinion, a tremendous one. But two, just because there's an overreaction doesn't mean that there's a lot of truth to some of the bad stuff. There is truth behind it. There is truth to we're having a difficult time running the ball. The quarterback has a problem with turning the ball over and making good decisions as the quarterback. Both of those things are true. Defensively, we're not good rushing the passer. That's true. So all of those things can be true. But at the same time, the overreaction, as best put by Tim Watts at BOL, that was Texas, not Texas State. Even further, when I say that you have to take into account the problems were created in part because Texas is really good. That's true. And also keep in mind that Alabama led the game even somewhat late. There was a lead late, heading into the fourth quarter. I mean, so it wasn't like Texas lined up and for 60 minutes kicked us around like a tomato can. It wasn't like that at all. It was a close, tightly contested physical football game for a big chunk of it. And then the fourth quarter defensively was a complete disaster. It wasn't good offensively at any point of the 60 minutes, although there were certainly some moments. But in my mind, Luke, there is an overreaction. Secondly, it is also true that Alabama has issues that need to be addressed, or that will not be the only loss. Those things can both be true. It's not one or the other. The schedule's going to get really tough after South Florida. I mean, I agree with anyone. Alabama's a 32-point favorite this weekend at South Florida. I think Alabama's going to win the game handily. I don't have a number just yet I've settled on, but my early reaction is Alabama's not only going to win the game, they're going to cover that number. And the game's going to look kind of similar to that game against Middle Tennessee. That's what I think. But the issue is after you get back from Tampa, you play 7 straight SEC opponents, 3 on the road, 7 straight SEC games. And Alabama, and in that 7, Alabama misses Vanderbilt. They miss Missouri. Those would have been games. They miss Florida. those would be games Alabama, I feel, could win on the road and feel pretty good about your chances, going into it. Alabama misses those three. They play 7 other teams, most of whom are pretty good, starting with Ole Miss. So Alabama's got to fix, Luke, those problems that I talked about. Can't run the ball, can't block for Milroe. Milroe's got to make better decisions and cut out the interceptions. And defensively, rushing the passer would help. It would help immensely. As a matter of
Touching the
fact,
passer would help.
Yeah, being within his zip code of the passer. Again, like I said today, you can count the number of Alabama pressures on one hand and count the number of sacks on no hands. You don't need a hand to count the sacks. They were 0. But you could also count on one hand the pressures. I think there's 3.
It was just as bad as I remember it. And unfortunately, I was channel surfing, and on ESPNU, it said, this is just the game of the week. He didn't tell you what game it was. So I was like, well, maybe it'll be the Colorado game. I clicked over. It's the Alabama game.
Boy.
And I sat there mesmerized for a second. I did see Dallas Turner have a good play to stop the 4th down. I wasn't sure it was Dallas Turner that had done that because I was at the game live. And as I've said many times, I'm not rewatching a loss. I'm not doing it. It's not fun. I didn't enjoy it the first time. Why would I? I mean, I don't go back to bad movies. So I'm not.
However, do rewatch it, and feel free to read my in-depth comments. I basically comment on, it's kind of turned into this. I didn't mean it to be that way when I started the concept, but I basically comment on every single snap of the game. Like if there's a play, I make a comment, and sometimes more than one, on every single snap on my rewatch thread on BOL.
That would be kind of funny if you just made one comment, like one word every time there was a snap, and you just said snap. Pass. Okay.
Be like
that's 2 words.
Just use 2 emojis like on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
And the snap on 2nd and 10 from their 24, it's either a tomato or a splatted one.
Jimmy, look up there. People can join our subtext group. That's joinsubtext.com/LockedOnBama. You need to go there and subscribe. I'm going to get a better picture to encourage you to subscribe to this. But that picture right now is Alabama against Texas, but that's okay. But you need to go do that. It's $4.99 a month. I mean, but you get a trial period of 2 weeks. Jimmy and I text, Jimmy specifically. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So you need to go. We've already had several people sign up. Appreciate you guys a ton. And let's try this. It's something that everybody on Locked On is trying. So we want to get in on that action, and we want you to be in on that action. Meanwhile, now I need to tell everybody about Gametime. Gametime is just absolutely awesome. You don't ever want to stress about tickets. I know I don't. I know I didn't this past weekend. I got some luckily, but if I'd already had a plan because I have Gametime app. So I already had a plan. Like if these tickets don't come through, I'm just going to use the Gametime app. It's less expensive. It's super easy. Buying tickets to your favorite event should not be stressful. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you are inevitably going to have. I'll tell you the things that I love about it is just if you try to get your tickets early, I used to be, hey, I got to get my tickets early. I want them in hand, bird in hand, right? Well, the problem with that is people usually, sort of jack the prices up earlier and the prices come down later. That's where Gametime can help you so much. Gametime is the place for last minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, comedy, theater, whatever. The Gametime guarantee means you will always get the best price. And if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Gametime. I don't know if that's how they say it. I just thought that was a pretty interesting way to say it.
I think that's how they say it in Cajun country for sure.
So Northern Cajun country. That's a northern
Well, yeah.
Cajun dialect.
Well, Justin Wilson was this famous Cajun chef guy, and that was his tagline. He'd say that all the
That
time.
is right.
He'd say
That's
it kind
why
of
I'm
like
doing
that.
that.
Remember that
I was
guy?
like, why am I saying that? And that
Remember
man,
that guy?
you're 100% correct.
I met that guy. I met that guy. Is that an A-list or a B-list celebrity?
Oh, that's
He's
C
long
for
since
Cajun.
passed. He's
Or
long since passed. God rest his soul.
and we won't do this now, but when I do Sports Splits Live on Tuesday nights, my co-host Andy Graham, we sometimes do a game called Dead or Alive, and he just names celebrities or rockers or whatever, and he asked me if they're alive or dead, and
Yeah.
I am so bad at this game. I mean, like, I guess most of them are dead because I'm just like, why would you be asking me? I mean, but most of them are alive. I'm gonna catch on to that sometime soon. But anyway,
That
if
would
you
be
had asked
something
me
I feel like I would be good at, but you could make it in a way where I would be horrible at it. I mean, I could do I think I'd be good at it, but then don't bet on me.
Jimmy, player comments. Here's
yes.
something that was
They're
kind of
alive. They're
How-
alive. They're alive. The current players.
These players, so
Current
barely.
players.
Some of them didn't look it on Saturday. But Jimmy, this is from Tyler Booker. I'm going to read this. This is a direct quote from Tyler Booker. We get compared to a lot of the older Bama teams. Time has passed. Now, me saying that, we're still playing to the Bama standard, but it's a different generation of guys. Booker says there are different things that they deal with as college athletes today, unquote. Okay. Again, Tyler Booker, I want you to be so good. I do. I want you to be a dude so badly. And I think you got it in you. I don't think this was the quote you really wanted to throw out there. This isn't the time to be saying, hey, we're the same. We just lose at home by 10 to teams we're favored by 7 over. That's kind of the way it comes off. Yeah. And I know that there will be people going, oh, Luke, you're just a boomer. First of all, I'm not a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer. And secondly, do you not feel that way at all? I mean, there's got to be, it feels like it's a lack of accountability. Now, again, I'm not trying to insult Tyler Booker with what he's saying at all. I'm just saying this certainly feels a far cry from a Saban-esque player retort. This is not this sounds it's somewhere in between what a Saban player would say and what Juwan Garth Simpson said when he said, hey, I think I should get ice cream for whatever he missed a meeting or whatever he did. I can't remember what it was. That's what it feels like in between those two things. And it feels closer to the Juwan Garth Simpson thing than it does to a Saban-esque player comment. Yeah. And you can't blame fans for being a little put off by this. We've had 16 years of Nick Saban, and it's been pounded into us daily. Like, we've got a standard, we need to uphold it. We've got a standard, we need to uphold it. Our standard is the standard, and we don't worry about everybody else. And now, after Saban's worst home loss in terms of points, now, I mean, Louisiana Monroe, you could argue is worse, but I'll say this. Louisiana Monroe is one of the reasons we are where we are today. So, if after this Texas loss, we go on and win 6 national championships, I'll say Texas turned out okay too. I don't think that's going to happen. And I feel like these attitudes are concerning to me. And when you couple that with the highlight or low light that is circulated all over Twitterverse, Xverse, whatever you want to call it, where Deontay Lawson is being blocked well past the echo of the whistle until he's finally knocked back on his keister. And he gets up and he sort of shrugs his shoulders like, hey, where's the flag? I feel you, Deontay Lawson. I understand what you're saying. There should have been a flag. I get that. But I think when you have players like Reggie Ragland, namely, said, this breaks my heart. Because you know what Reggie would have done? Reggie either would have gotten up and pummeled said human being who pushed him down well after the whistle, or he would have said, I'm sort of tired. My arm's tired. Deron Payne, would you mind taking care of this dude for me? Somebody would have taken care of that situation, and nobody did. And I'm not advocating for a fight. I'm saying I want to see some fight. Jimmy, am I speaking out of school here? I'm a 50-year-old pacifist. But for the love of God, when I saw that on the highlight, I was like, Yeah, Deontay Lawson probably should have been thrown out. I mean, it's one of those things where in a basketball game, if you get a really, really hard foul, especially these days, and nobody comes to your defense and you don't defend yourself, it's going to look worse on you. And that's not necessarily fair, but that's the way it is.
No, I actually agree with a ton of that. And I think it might just kind of get back to a reasonable question that's hard to answer, but has Alabama or even Nick Saban lost their edge? To me, that sort of gets back to this question. First of all, on Booker's comments, and I read the quote, I've seen the quote. I didn't see his whole interview. I watched the Dallas Turner one, but I hadn't seen the Tyler Booker interview today. But that quote did alarm me a little bit for a couple of reasons. But one, overreaction to it, because this is what we do as Alabama fans. We overreact to everything. One overreaction, though, that I've seen to that comment that I would like to just throw some water on because it's silly is, today's Alabama player cares about NIL. They care about getting paid. And that's what's different. These guys are getting paid, and the earlier Saban guys were out there for the love and passion of the game, but these guys are paid. I've seen that a lot, and I get that that's an old man raising your fist at the clouds sort of thing, and I identify with that because I'm sort of that old man who does that. But that's really silly, that particular thing, because it fails to take into account the obvious fact that Texas players are paid too. And they seem pretty intense and physical and enjoying the game on Saturday. Georgia's paid, and they've won 2 national championships in a row. Michigan's paid. They've been in the playoff a couple times in a row. Clemson, Dabo hates NIL. Guess who also gets paid? Clemson players. They're getting paid. It's silly to think Alabama stopped playing hard because they were getting paid when everyone else they play, even to some extent, Middle Tennessee, to some extent, they're paid. But that's just silly. Now, I think Luke makes a really good point with the second half of that. And while I am against bad sportsmanship, Luke, I'm against bad sportsmanship. I'm against players not playing within the rules. I'm against all of it. And I'm not saying I'm for this, but if I told you, Luke, that a player in an Alabama game, a player, not identifying the team, after the play was over, a frustrated, angry player kicked the opponent in the head when the play was over and told that guy to get off his field. My immediate guess in 2023 is that was the opponent. In 2015 or 2014, I'd have told you that was the Alabama guy. And I think that's what gets back to what Luke is saying. I think we used to be a lot more intimidating. And Coach Saban even used the word hateful competitor a year ago. I remember that speech he gave. We used to have hateful competitors. I would agree with the general notion that we've lost that. And I don't know how to get it back. Seems like former players sometimes speak up and they would like to see that return more. But at the same time, I'm not going to go talk to our current team and tell them they're soft. That's not true. I dare people to go do that. They're not soft, but we have lost some of the things that made teams not want to play us.
Okay. And Jimmy, I think you're 100% right. And if somebody is listening to this and going, I bet Luke wouldn't say it to Tyler Booker's face. You know what I would say to Tyler Booker's face is, dude, you're a man. Go out there and knock some sense into some people, or knock it out of them, knock some sense out of them, whatever. You're a dude. I can't do it. Nobody wants to see me go out there and be put in an ambulance. Funny story. When I was about 12, I was watching Monday Night Football with my father, who at the time was drinking a bottle of wine about a night, and at this time too. So, I mean, he's done that a long time. And we were watching.
Sounds like a good idea by right now.
Yeah. We were watching a Monday night game, and a play happens, and my dad, maybe again, a tad inebriated, said, I bet if I went out there for one play, nobody'd notice. And I said, not till the ambulance got there. Then they'd figure it out. But so anyway, no, you don't want to see me or my father out there taking hits for the Alabama.
No, nor us. And I'm not challenging the players to play dirtier. I'm just saying, I think as a criticism, I think teams used to like see Alabama on the schedule and go, "Oh crap."
Jimmy, that's where I'm going. Okay.
Now they're like, we got a shot.
We
Ole
got an
Miss is going to
opportunity.
be here. Ole Miss can be in Tuscaloosa in 12 days. They're itching to get here. They're itching. They're itching to be here. They're not like, we have no chance. We're Ole Miss. We've lost 60-0 over there. No, they can't wait to get over here. And that may be the biggest problem of all the problems.
And again, nobody's saying, all right, there's a different hateful competitor. There's the hateful competitor that they can't beat you, but they might be able to beat you up. You know, I go to play basketball still sometimes, and there's some big dudes who can't play basketball, but they'll hit you in the head or they'll foul you hard, and then they dare you to do something about it. Now at this age, nobody's doing anything about it, but then there's the guy who is like, I'm going to beat you, and if I need to beat your butt, I'll do that too. And that's the player we want. The one who's like, okay, I'm going to beat you in this football game, and then if you want to meet me in the parking lot, let's go for it. I mean, bring whoever. But anyway, I think that's what we're looking for. We need a little more dog, not as many cats, or cat-like attitudes, I guess is a better way to say it, because we don't have a lot of cats. Anyway, let me tell everybody about FanDuel. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And man, I watched it, and it was so fun to watch Tua. I'm so excited. And I'm kind of mad Tua plays on NBC next week because it's national, and I don't even need my YouTube TV for that. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, Jimmy, let's talk a little recruiting for a second. It was a big recruiting weekend. And I have heard there has been very little written about recruiting. Now, Jordan Seaton, I know on Bama Online there was an article about him. Sounds very promising for Alabama. This guy Alabama really wants. And if I was an offensive lineman, I'd go, yeah, I think can come here and have a shot. Ryan Williams was also there. Who else was there of note? And I know Ryan Williams is visiting Texas, and some people are worried about it, but that was already scheduled to happen anyway, right?
Right. Yeah, Ryan's going to go on visits, and I think he's going to look around, and he's good enough to where everybody should be nervous about that because, I mean, it just makes all the sense in the world to stay nervous about Ryan Williams until he ultimately shows up whenever that is because he's so good. But I'm confident that he is going to eventually sign with Alabama. That's based on all we know of BOL right now. I'm confident that he's going to follow through on his commitment. I would say a player I'm excited about, speaking of Ryan Williams, and this is peering into the future a little bit, but a player who was there that raved about the experience, and it's very important because it's well in the future, but Tank Jones, a linebacker from St. Paul's and Mobile, right now we think of BOL that he's likely to be the #1 prospect in the state of Alabama in 2026. That means he's a current 10th grader. This guy is one of these inside-outside Mr. Versatility linebackers. He can line up outside, rush the passer. He can line up inside, be really good in the box. 6'4", 220 pounds in the 10th grade. Great athlete, loves to play. Seems like an Alabama fan. Our crystal ball has him to Alabama right now. Again, is a 2026 guy, whole year, whole class younger than Ryan Williams, but he was there. We'll see what happens with 2025 quarterback, George McIntyre. I think, feels like George McIntyre, Bryce Underwood would be really top, sort of top targets. Juju Lewis, who's 2026, who could reclassify. He's another guy that was there. I mean, crazy list of players. The good news is people make a little too much of, oh, we lost the game. Now you probably don't like Alabama as much. That's not it at all. They're looking at the atmosphere, the environment, how the players are treated for, keep that in mind, how the players are treated by the fans and the program, but really just overall game atmosphere, just imagining themselves, hey, would I like to play here? And the atmosphere Saturday night was outstanding. I mean, I know Alabama fans didn't like how the game played out, and people were frustrated in the second half. But the players that have been interviewed by BOL, they have all have raved about loving the atmosphere and environment on Saturday night. And that loss isn't going to affect Alabama recruiting. Now, if Alabama finishes 8-4, 7-5, and all the talk is about Coach Saban's future, yeah, that's going to affect things. Of course it will. But for right now, absolutely not.
And let me say this for those saying, well, you guys aren't helping recruiting, first dogging the players. First of all, we're not dogging anybody. We're just saying we want more dog. Secondly, if I were,
which is the same thing their coaches are telling them, by the way.
Exactly. And if I were a recruit, the recruit I want at Alabama is the kind of recruit that'd be like, yeah, I want our fans to be like, you can do better than that. If I need to do better, I want somebody to be honest with me. I want our fans to be honest with me. Don't hate on me. Don't be like, you suck. Be like, hey, same thing I'm saying to Tyler Booker, and I'm not meaning to pick on him. I'm just saying him because he was one of the guys that gave a lot of comments today. Tyler Booker, I know you're a superstar. We all know it. Go be it, dude. You can do it.
Yeah, I would tell him. I know he can play better than he played Saturday night. I bet he would tell you that. He can play better than that. And he needs to, and he needs to, and he wants to, and he will. That's the thing about that kid. I have 100% confidence in him. I also think he probably played his worst football Saturday night against Texas. Probably did.
He was not alone, though.
No, it was a team. It was a team-wide thing for sure.
Alabama Ole Miss will be the 2:30 game. That is interesting. And right now, Jimmy, I'm just getting word. It just came over our airwaves. An in-state defensive lineman has committed to Alabama. Antonio Coleman. Oh man, Daddy's excited. This just happened.
While we're on the air.
On the air, it just happened.
While it happened on the air, yeah, because wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. This warms the cockles of my heart. I saw him play the other night. I know a lot of y'all did too. I was like, okay, I love Ryan Williams. We all knew that. I love KJ Lacey. We all knew that. I like their running back a lot. We all knew that. Who's this Antonio Coleman cat? That guy is a dude. Yes, I feel so much better already, Jimmy. Thank you, Coach Saban. I'm sorry.
Yeah, big time defensive lineman. A little undersized by that, though. My comp for him was somebody I would have said the exact same thing about during his junior year when he committed to us, and that's Quentin Williams. I think there's a lot of Q in Antonio Coleman. In terms of like what kind of player can he be at the next level? I think he can be a Quentin Williams at the next level, which is a relentless, impossible to block. You are wasting your time double teaming that guy. He is a great motor for such a talented kid, and sky's the limit for him. This is a truly big time pickup for Alabama because we needed top tier defensive lineman. He will probably be a national top 100 player by the time his cycle's finished, and I may be under guessing that. He might even be top 50, but I would say top 100 for sure. And any top 100 national player like that who's a defensive lineman is gold in recruiting. So this is a massive pickup for Alabama and another Saraland player. And as we know, Saraland is just putting them out.
And also, I think Nick Saban knew we needed good news. And for listen, we didn't plan any of this. On my Mac, like sometimes when I get an email, it comes up in the top right-hand corner and it said big defensive lineman commits to Alabama. And I was like, what 2-star is this? And sad sack Luke Robinson clicked on it. It's Antonio Coleman. If you had said, Luke, who do you want to commit to you next? I'd be like, I know he's a year away, but Antonio Coleman. It's like a gift from the heavens.
Right. Well, how about Nick Saban and the time? We say timing's everything, and sometimes these commitments are orchestrated might be the wrong word, but pretty good timing PR-wise, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's almost as if it were calculated.
It's almost as if it were.
All right, Jimmy, that's going to do it for today's podcast. We will be back tomorrow, and until then, roll tide, everybody. Go subscribe to our subtext group.
Roll tide.